Alright, so I'm just gonna take you through the process of how I made that silly animation video that you just saw. Keep in mind I'm not a graphic artist, so the drawing's pretty simple and cheesy looking, but the process is the same even if it's a more complex drawing. So I started off drawing this background here, and it's made up of a bunch of layers. So you have the background layer, and the smaller hair, and the bigger ones, and even bigger ones. And all these hairs, most of them are just duplicates of each other, where I just resize them and change the hue saturation so they look a little bit different from each other. So that's the background. Now let's move on to the characters. This is Benny, and he's made up of a bunch of layers as well. You have the left arm, the right arm, the belly, the tail, and spikes, and the right leg and left leg, and all that stuff. The reason why I made him in a bunch of layers is because the animation software that I use accepts PSD files, which is Photoshop files, and retains all these layers when I import it into that software. And that allows me to individually animate and control all these different layers and makes my animating life a lot easier. And I didn't actually use these left and right eyes or the mouth, and because they're just guides. Um, because I have another PSD file here which contains all the different mouths and all the e's and ahs and I should have made more than these. This is just 9. I just thought 9 would be enough for the animation that I did. And the same goes to the eyes as well. You have the full eye, the closed eye, the half closed, the half open one, and both the eyes and the mouth is the same for Benny and his boy, which makes my drawing life a lot easier. So that's all the drawing that I have to do. And next, I wrote the script and recorded it in my audio recording software, and that took maybe 30 minutes or less. And when that's done, I can start animating. Alright, so the software I use for my animation is Adobe After Effects. And the reason why I use this software over a software like the free software like Go Animate is because I have complete control over everything here. Even though it's really easy and fast to do animation in Go Animate, your work is never very original, and anybody who's done animation can right away tell that your animation was done on Go Animate or whatever free software that you used. That's because you don't have much control over the actions that your characters can do in that software. You don't even have much options on your characters or your background settings, and that makes your animation very unoriginal. But on this software, you can draw your own characters, you can make your own actions, and all your own backgrounds, and that makes your work very much more original than Go Animate. So we're just gonna dive into basically what I did in this animation. Alright, so this software is pretty complicated and took me a while to learn, but I'll try to explain the basics of animating using it. So we'll open up Benny. So here he is. And the first thing, and as you can see first, it imported all the different layers from Photoshop. And say the first thing we want to do is we want to create joints for him so that we can move his different body parts according to how we want it to be. So how we do that is we set anchor points, say to the left arm here, and we want to set the anchor point to be on his shoulder, which is where it was actually. And by setting the anchor point over there, we're able to, if we go under rotation, we can rotate it about this shoulder. Sorry, it's kind of blurry, but there you go. You can see the rotation there. And the way you can animate, say you want it to go from here to here in five frames, is you set it where you want it to be initially. You create a key point by clicking this button. You move over 5 frames, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you move it where you want it to be, like over there. And now you have an animation. So whoop, whoop. And you can do you create anchor points and do it for all his other body parts. And one problem I had was when I was doing the anchor point for the body. So if I back up here, the anchor point is by the hips, but when I rotate it, his other body parts don't go with it. So how do I fix that? What I do is I take all the body parts that are above his legs, so the spikes, tail, belly, and arms, and eyes, and mouth, and I need to parent it to the body just like that. And now when I rotate the body, all his other parts move as well, except for the legs. And so that's cool. Next, you have the mouth and the eyes. So that's in a different composition because I drew them in a different file. But basically, I can scroll through the different mouths by scrolling through this time here. So you can see all the different types of mouths and also the eyes. So you got the half open eye and the closed eyes and all that. And the way I animate the mouth to sync is if I go over here, and this is the audio track. So if I hit command and scroll through the timeline at the same time, I can actually hear the audio and be able to change the mouth as I hear the audio. So I don't know if you can hear this, but the mic might pick it up a little bit. And so I already did the keyframes. So this is the keyframes that I set for that one line. It takes about maybe 20 to 30 seconds to do this, maybe a minute, depending on how long the line is, I guess. But this line probably took me about a minute to do, so it doesn't take that long. And over here, this is the blink sequence. So it's really simple. Just go from that keyframe to that keyframe, the close eye keyframe and open eye. That's a simple blink sequence there. I don't know why his mouth is disappearing, but yeah. So another thing I thought worth mentioning was that part where the wind blows because of the blow dryer, and now all the hair has to go from standing upright to tilted to the left because of the wind. So the way I did that was by using the puppet tool, and that allows me to create these joints on all of the hair. And after I create the joints, I can move them the way I want it to go and warp them around. And so I can animate that and come up with something like this. And it doesn't take that long if you know what you're doing. And I took it a step further and kind of made it flap in the wind. It's like that. And that's not very hard either. You just have to know your Command C, Command V to be able to do that. So yeah, that's my hair animation. So I hope you enjoyed it, or at least learned something from this video. And thanks for watching.